Hello everyone! So I was inspired in a weird way by one of Kaily Baute's recent videos where she discusses beauty YouTube videos that she hates. Because I actually love a lot of the videos that she talked about not liking. So it got me to thinking, what are the videos that I hate watching? What are the things that I don't click on? And so I thought that I would share 5 beauty YouTube videos that I love watching and 5 that I hate watching. And honestly, I could break down every single video and talk about the things that I love about videos that I hate and the things that I hate about videos that I love. There's a lot of layers to it, but for the sake of this video, I will stick with the reasons why I love or hate the particular videos that I'm talking about. I did previously make a video where I talked about reasons why I hate makeup tutorials, which is kind of funny because the #1 video that I love watching on beauty YouTube is tutorials. If it's a tutorial, I will click on it first. When I'm looking at my subscription feed and looking for something to watch, my eye goes straight for the tutorials. I kind of skim over everything else, and tutorials is the thing I love those because I learn so much from them. And it's not necessarily technique. If I'm looking to try or practice a certain technique, I will just plug that right into the search. But I find that I also learn little tips and tricks in those tutorial videos that might not necessarily be directly related to the thing that I'm doing, but I can also get inspired as well by things like color combinations. And I am really talking about eyeshadow tutorials here because those are the things that I love the most. I love full face tutorials, but most of the time I'm looking on how to improve eyeshadow. So I love seeing the different shapes people use, different eyeliner styles. There's so many different things you can do with eyeshadow and it's so complex, and I love just learning those new things and practicing. It's not about what the products are that are being used, but what the steps are along the way, which is why I just love watching them, and I don't really have any limits. Like, I will watch from teeny tiny channels all the way to the channels that have multi-million subscribers. A tutorial is a tutorial, and a lot of the times the general difference is like the person's comfort behind the camera, how good they are as a teacher, and video quality. But I've learned a lot of good tips and tricks from people who don't have the multi-million subscriber video quality. So there's a lot of good stuff out there, and I'm constantly discovering new people. And if you guys have any recommendations for people who you love watching who do tutorials, make sure you let me know because I love watching them all. I also love favorites videos, which is probably no surprise because my last video I did was a monthly favorites. I don't do them every month because I don't always have enough stuff to talk about, but I love when people do them monthly, especially when it's someone who also does tutorials. Because then I can get a better idea if something that they used in a previous tutorial or previous tutorials is something that really works for them. Because while there are some exceptions, generally I find the things that people are reaching for off camera are the things that they talk about in their favorites videos. I love seeing swatches and demos, which doesn't always happen in favorites videos, but if the person in question used the product or products before, they tend to mention that and then we'll link the video down below. So if they say like product X was one of my favorite things and I did 2 tutorials with it this past month, usually they have it linked down below, so then I can go and check out those things as well if I hadn't already, and then I have even more information backing it up, and then I can decide if it's something that I want to research further, if it's something that truly interests me. I've really tried to stop impulse buying off of one video, and I try and watch more of them so that I can really see if it's something that's truly good or just sort of good in the moment, which is sort of the problem with first impressions sometimes. But I also really love watching first impressions videos. I really love the enjoyment of them. They're really exciting. A full face of first impressions has got to be one of my favorite things to see pop up in my subscription feed because there's so many different emotions going on in the video. I love seeing those instant reactions, which sometimes can be over the top. Sometimes they definitely seem a little bit staged, but sometimes they're just true reactions. When someone is first applying an eyeshadow and they see how metallic it is and you see that expression on their face and they're like, oh my god, this is amazing. Or If it's the opposite and it's really patchy and it's not applying very well and they're struggling with it, you see that as well. And sometimes I find with reviews, that stuff sort of gets glossed over and you don't get to see the first impression of it. You don't get to see them struggling with it. If they really want to recommend the product, then they can find ways to sort of fudge it so that it looks good. But first impression, it's like, here it is, me trying it for the first time, and you get to see it happening. Now, of course, people might be taking some liberties with their first impressions, but like I'm going by sort of an honor system here and thinking that people are not faking their first impressions. I'm sure it happens, but I mean, some of the people that I watch, I really don't think that they do. They just seem genuinely either impressed or really disappointed with the product they're using. Sometimes you see products that break right when they're using it, or when they like take the product out of the packaging. Like it's entertaining to me, and it does give me a place to start if I want to research that product further. If I see the way that something's performing, if I see how smooth a product is, and you know, you can judge it for yourself, despite if that YouTuber says, oh my god, this is the creamiest, most blendable eyeshadow I've ever used, it's so pigmented, and you see them struggling with it and it's not pigmented and it's actually very sheer and maybe like a lot of fallout, well, that's gonna tell me a lot as well. Not only about the YouTuber, but the product in question. And I can look for more reviews. I like to read written reviews as opposed to watch them, but I'll talk about reviews in a little while. But I do find first impressions to be useful as sort of a starting ground, especially something like a full face of first impressions, because it gives you a lot to go on. List videos like top 5 or top 10s are also something that I really enjoy watching, and that is no surprise, I'm sure. I love lists of favorite makeup products, favorite brands, favorite anything. I just love lists. I love making lists. I am constantly making lists myself, not just in like the YouTube world, but just on paper. I'm making lists of like video ideas I have. I'm making lists of products I like. I'm like keeping paper inventories of products I have and wish lists, and I love lists. I make lists for chores I have to do. I make lists for everything. I will read lists online. There's a site called Listverse, which if you love lists and you have not heard about this site, you have to go there, because there's lists on so many different subjects, so many different topics. I love the bizarre and the weird lists. It's really fascinating to me, and I love how condensed lists are. I also love how they have so much information packed into them. It just feels so cohesive. And lastly, for videos that I love watching, of course I have to mention Project Pan videos. So for those of you who may not know, a project pan is when you select a certain amount of products that you want to use up entirely or even just hit pan on. There are other rules that people sometimes incorporate into panning project, but that's really it in the simplest of terms. I love small projects myself. Those are the ones I like watching the most, project like 5 pans or 10 pans, because I find too many products, it's just too much information just for me personally to take in. Sometimes I will like skim through them, but I like the shorter projects. I also like when somebody chooses a theme that's personal, something that means something to them. Of course, just a straight up, I'm using up these 5 products and let's go through them is fantastic. But if there's gonna be a theme, I like when it's personal. It's like, what do you like besides the makeup, but also finding a way to tie the makeup into it, because that's the real thing that I'm interested in and passionate about. So when someone can combine their love for a certain TV show or movie or something with the project pan, it makes it so much more interesting to watch, and that person doing it is more invested in it, so then I as a viewer become more invested in watching as well. Now to switch gears to videos that I hate watching, the number 1 is vlogs. So vlogs aren't specifically beauty related, but every now and then, beauty YouTubers will throw in vlogs. I remember watching vlogs from people who were participating in the NYX Face Awards. That was really interesting to me because it was involving makeup. It wasn't just like day-to-day life stuff. It just doesn't interest me that much. You know, a lot of the times there's a lot of footage of people's pets, like dogs. I'm not a dog person, so I really don't care. I'm a cat person, so dogs do nothing for me. Sometimes there's the footage about how they're so busy and how life is so busy, and then there's the stuff that they can't talk about. And it's like, why are you even including this in a vlog if you're doing all this top secret stuff and top secret meetings that you can't actually tell us what they're about at all. I just don't get it. And then sometimes there's like that screechy party footage. Most of the time I came across that on Snapchat, and I don't even watch Snapchat stories anymore because people would go to these parties and it would just be like hours of them screaming and yelling and drinking, and I just don't care about it. I just don't care. And sometimes when that appears in vlogs, it's just like I immediately click out. If I was even bored enough to click on it in the first place, soon as I hear that screeching, screaming, dancing stuff, no, I'm gone. I can't do it. Another type of video that I generally don't watch a lot of are reviews. I'm just not looking to buy new products seriously enough to watch a lot of reviews on them. Sometimes I watch them for the demo portion, so I skip right past the part where they're talking about the price and if they like the packaging and all that crap. I go for the demo because I want to see the look that they're doing and I want to see how like the product's performing, not about any of the other stuff, because most of the time I don't care. If I want to know specific information like price, I'm gonna look that up myself anyway. Most of the time videos are done by people in the US, or they're people aiming towards an audience in the US. So they're talking about like American prices and American availability, and a lot of that means nothing to me. So I tend to do my own research. I tend to prefer reading reviews. Of course, places like Temptalia for like swatches and things like that. I'll just read reviews from people instead of watching videos, especially the reviews that come out really quickly, because so many people seem to rush to be one of the first people to have the review out. And it's not really a review, it's a first impression, but packaged as a review, which is kind of irritating. I mean, I get why they do it, and I've done it myself. Call a first impression a review because more people are gonna click on it that way. A lot of the time the information is not gonna be there in that video, and it's not a full, it doesn't feel complete. I really wish more people would do tutorials with new products instead of just reviewing them. I wish they would use them more and consistently instead of like one time doing review and that's it. I don't often see multiple tutorials using the same sort of products from people because they're constantly getting new things and they constantly are pushing reviews out. And so many people are watching reviews, and I just don't get why people are watching reviews and interested in them so much, because you can only have so many products at one time. And I don't get the popularity of them. Now, I do like making reviews myself. I like to put the time in, I like to research, I like to make sort of a comprehensive review. One of my favorite videos that I've ever put together was my Naked Heat review from Urban Decay. So I am talking as a viewer here, not just as a creator. It's sort of weird to talk about, like the lines are definitely very blurred. There are things and videos that I make that I wouldn't watch, but I know a lot of people like watching them, so that's why I make them, and it's also fun to do. So there's a couple of different perspectives going on here, but from a viewer's perspective, reviews are a big pass for me. Give me tutorials, or at least put timestamps in your review of when the demo portion is, so I can just skip ahead and watch that easily instead of trying to find it, because I'm not watching the whole thing. Can we talk about hauls for a second? There's so many of them. There's so many of them. Now, I like a good haul. I really hate hauls with no substance. Like the ones where people don't even take products out of the boxes when they're just sort of like holding it there. Like, I got this new product, I just ordered this, or this was sent to me. The PR hauls, like I had to stop watching them because there's definitely like a jealousy factor there. I have to admit that. I'm like, but why would I continue to watch something that was making me feel jealous? And I don't even want that much makeup. I wouldn't be able to handle it. I don't even know how they do it. And truthfully, a lot of them don't handle it very well, because you will see those products that they hauled from their free stuff beauty gurus get video show up in a giveaway or in a later declutter. And I don't even really like watching a lot of declutters, especially from people who do hauls, and I mean do frequent hauls, because it tends to be a cycle. And people will be like ruthless with their declutters, and they will be praised upside down and sideways. People will be like, you are the best person to ever do a declutter. Look at you, you made the, you know, you didn't hold anything back. But then like a couple weeks later, they're hauling very similar products to what they got rid of just recently. And so they're not learning anything. And it's frustrating for me to watch that cycle that people seem to get stuck in. That's why I like watching project pans, and I like hauls from people who do project pans, because their purchases tend to be smarter. They just seem to have learned more than those people who do like the ruthless declutters. Like the people who just look at a product and just get rid of it without even swatching it. Anyway, declutters aren't even really on this list. It's just sort of tied in with the haul thing. It's just sort of like I don't like the two of them when they go together because it just gets old. But kind of similar to declutters, collection videos, because they're sort of like hauls where they almost just feel like people are showing off a little bit, like look at all the stuff that I have. Obviously some people who do collection videos are very different from this and they don't have that kind of attitude about it, but sometimes, especially like the full beauty room, all my makeup tour things, I just don't like the vibes that they give off. It's interesting seeing like storage stuff, but I don't actually want to see the products myself. Just because as somebody who struggles with purchasing too much makeup, it's definitely triggering for me as well, to see all this stuff, especially when there's like drawers and drawers of unused stuff. Sometimes you're watching, and it can almost make you justify your own collection if it's too much, and it's like, oh, but you know, this person who's a beauty guru who like literally does this for their living has 30 bottles of foundation, so my 15 are fine, I can buy a couple more, and I don't like that. So I just tend to avoid full collection videos for those reasons. But the more I go through these, the more I realize that I hate the things that I do myself. So do what I say, not what I do, kids. That's the moral of the story here. Anyway, one thing I don't do that I don't like watching anymore is routine videos. Skincare routines. Skincare is so personal. It makes me cringe watching these people who truly are not knowledgeable about skincare. Some of them have like really good dermatologists who have customized their skincare routine. Some of them happen to just luck out and try things that worked for them and they're recommending it to people, and I just, people's skin is so different. I just don't like when people do the full-on skincare routines. I don't like it. And speaking of cringy videos, morning routines, evening routines, routine for dog walking, routine for those lazy, cozy Sunday afternoons, routines for hiding dead bodies, like it's just enough. I'm really thankful that these sort of overproduced videos are not as popular as they once were, because they really all shared the same basic script variation. You've got the fade in, the bubbly instrumental pop music. The beauty guru is lying asleep in bed in her cute matching pajama set. Her hair is all brushed perfectly though, of course. Then all of a sudden the iPhone next to her starts to go off. The alarm is ringing. It's 11 o'clock in the morning, but she needs more time to sleep, so she keeps hitting that snooze button. And finally she sits up and she stretches and grabs her phone and starts scrolling through and scrolling and scrolling. And about an hour later, it's time for breakfast. Start the Keurig coffee maker, make some sort of oatmeal or fruit or avocado toast thing. More phone scrolling, you get the picture. Everybody was doing like the same thing and it was so boring, and you just knew what was gonna happen. It was just gonna be the same formulaic thing. Whenever I would see that pop up in my subscription feed, routine, I would just think, you are tacky and I hate you. And on that note, I will end it there. Make sure to let me know what types of videos you love watching and really what kinds you hate watching, because I really want to know that more than anything. Thank you so much for watching me, and I hope I will get to talk to you soon. Bye for now.